So I've been back to Nigeria now for a few weeks. I realized a lot of the people that I grew up with, a lot of the people that I knew growing up are now either mostly living abroad or generally just moving back and forth between Nigeria and a different country. If they're not living there full time, they're living there 6 months out of the year and here 6 months out of the year. Now I thought I'd make this quick video to discuss why is it that many people are moving abroad? Why are many people not looking to grow and live in Nigeria? When I went to school here, I used to remember a lot of people tell me this is where they were gonna grow a family, this is where they were gonna grow a future and get a job and live. Because back then, contrary to popular belief, immigrating wasn't the foresight of many people. It wasn't like the one thing many people thought of when they are going to school or finishing school, or even if they're working. But now, 1 out of every 2-3 people that I talk to, they want to leave the country. If they had the money and the means, they'd be out. Now, I believe it is the government's job to make every country habitable, safe, secure for most of its citizens. The first thing I believe why many people are leaving is insecurity. Nigeria is ranked number 9 in one of the most dangerous cities to live in Africa, which is bad on so many levels. Because growing up, I used to hear Nigeria is the giant of Africa. You know, Nigeria is leading the way, fastest growing economy, all that fun stuff, praising the country. And now you're hearing everywhere that it's unsafe, countries that don't even know Nigeria or countries in Africa would say, oh, you're from Nigeria. I heard there's a lot of kidnapping, a lot of theft. That's not a good rap. And people who live here are hearing these and seeing these things first on. I hear about this guy getting kidnapped, that guy getting killed. To hear that a large group of girls in a village were kidnapped and never seen again, or a large group of ladies were raped, or expatriates visiting the country got kidnapped and the US had to send people here to save them. These are stories that are happening. You know, these are stories that you hear like Mission Impossible, you know, action movies, but they are happening here. And it makes it increasingly difficult for people growing to, you know, feel safe and comfortable to start a family here because they aren't just comfortable with what's going to happen.
Early morning and it's cold. Boko Haram's youngest victims are fending for themselves, attacked her village.
We are running to mountain. They are following us and they are killing us, killing people, slaughtering people.
They showed up after church service one Sunday last July, opened fire, killing people. Everyone ran. I don't know what happened to my parents.
It's slowed down now quite drastically, but places like in the east, they still worry a lot about kidnapping, crime, and I think some states still have curfews till this day. Like since COVID, they still have curfews where they have to be in by a certain time. Some days aren't work days and stuff like that. So insecurity is a big factor. People leave to go to countries like Canada, US, countries in Europe because they just feel safer. They can leave their house at any time. They can travel at any time, go cross country. Now, people still do that in Nigeria, but people fear for their lives and they fear for their kids' safety, and that's one of the reasons people are leaving to secure citizenships outside Nigeria. Number 2, which is quite a big one, is the job market. The job market in Nigeria is absolutely crazy. Not just talking about the job. Now, the job is one thing. People find it difficult to get jobs. They go to school, get a degree. Some people get masters and PhD in this country, and then they come out and then there are no jobs for them. Now, I heard a PhD graduate in the country is paid something like 200,000 naira, which is like 140 US dollars. Now, if the numbers are incorrect, I'm gonna confirm and put them on the screen, but that is insane. If you think about how much you need for a flight ticket to go to the UK, you'd be saving up for so long. That's saying that you don't have any bills, no family, nothing. You're saving up for so long to buy a flight ticket. That's if you're just a professor. I know some people who are working in very big companies, they are making like 300, 400,000 naira, which again is like $250 a month. It's not a lot of money. And the ratio, when you think about it, are things dirt cheap in Nigeria? Many things are cheap, but not that cheap. Because growing up, things used to be so much cheaper with the same amount of money you made. Now things are so much more expensive and the incomes haven't grown as much. So there's a lot of people who are living below the poverty line. We went out yesterday, there was this family standing outside the restaurant and they just wanted bread, just to eat dinner. They didn't want money, they didn't want anything, they just wanted bread. And it was a whole family, mom, 2 or 3 kids, and it's just so sad because you see that everywhere. You see kids begging, you see people on the road. Now again, people are begging in every country. Even in Canada, there's people on the side of the road asking for money and all that stuff. But here, it's just like you can see and feel the tension with people. Lots of people are just worried, concerned about their future. Some people have even pulled their kids out of school because there's no money to confirm that they can send those kids to school. And that's the level it's gone to. So people are immigrating because there's better jobs, better opportunities. Even if you worked at like Walmart and made minimum wage and you worked full time, you're still guaranteed enough money if you lived in a cheap part of any city in any country abroad to pay for rent. You won't be balling out, but you'd be able to survive. And you see other jobs that will come in and you're guaranteed a meal if you worked your ass off. Here, people are willing to work, but the works aren't there, or the jobs aren't there, which is the issue, right? And that kind of messes with people's mental state a bit. Because if you're thinking you're willing to work, you're willing to put in the effort, but people aren't offering those opportunities to get ahead, you just are so beaten. Like, life is just not in your favor. And many people have started committing suicides. The rates are going up because people are trying, but they're just not getting ahead. And the country has a way of suffocating some people. People say, oh, if you really want to, you get a job. And I don't believe that. I don't believe everyone who's really trying is, trying and not getting anything. Because people are really trying, and then they're getting menial jobs that are paying them backtrack even. The minimum wage in the country now is like 30,000 naira, 40,000 naira, which is, I don't know, it's like 20 something US dollars. Yeah, let that sink in. So that's one issue why people are, we could ramble about this all day, but that's one issue why people are relocating. The third is amenities and infrastructure. So amenities, case in point, electricity. Nigeria does not have electricity, and I'm going to make a full video on this. It's been decades since we've got our independence, and there's lots of issues about why there's no electricity. Some states have electricity that are more stable than others. I was in Abuja for a while. They have better electricity. Lagos, pretty much almost non-existent. They bring the light for a couple hours, and then it's out for most of the time. But again, alas, it's one of the issues. People are moving abroad because they don't have to worry about those things. Light, water, things like that. Water, many communities are still going to the well to fetch water. The city doesn't give water in some communities. If you have a lot of money, do a borehole in your house and get constant water feeding up, or you dig a well. But many people don't have that luxury, right? I was reading a paper the other day that said, I can't remember, I think it's like 2 million or 7 million. I'll find it, post it on the screen. People in Nigeria who never have electricity all day, every day. They haven't seen electricity in like 2 years, and that's how they live. They're okay, they're comfortable, but it's just below that poverty line that we talked about, and that's why people move away. Infrastructure, good roads, good buildings. The roads in some part of the country are good. If you're in the major city, there's potholes here and there, but they're generally good. But many parts of Nigeria, in the rural areas, well, as soon as you start to get out, let's not even go too far. I was in Festac. Festac is a high residential area. The roads are horrible. It rained everywhere, flooded. People have been complaining about floods in Lekki, Lagos, and it's just a mess. So the infrastructure is not 100%. Now, again, I'm not just jabbing on Nigeria. I know places flood. Dubai had a big flood. Florida floods all the time. Family in Jamaica, they've just complained about a hurricane and flooding. Other parts of the world flood, right? But just summing up all the different infrastructure challenges that Nigeria has, people just feel more comfortable living in a place where half of those stuff are figured out, where they can get up, go out, and not worry about these potholes and stuff like that. It's just easier, right? You can get ahead with your life, and you remove half the stress, and life is just a lot easier. Yes, now you have other issues like taxes and bills in other countries, but we'll get to that in a different video. For this one, Nigeria, that's why people are moving. And before, self-worth. I feel a lot of people want to feel happy with themselves. They want to feel like they're fulfilled, they're doing things that are getting them ahead, pushing them forward, making them happier, growing their life. And for many people I speak to, they're not getting that feeling in Nigeria. They just feel like they're trying and nothing's working. And they just feel like, the government isn't out to help them, which many cases they're not. And the government is just looking to fund their pockets, and people just feel lost and down and sad and upset. And many people, move out with the hopes that they can, get into this habit where they're doing something that is earning them money. They love it. They're happy. They are benefiting. They can see the taxes working for them. And that's one thing many Nigerians are moving out for, where they can feel a lot more self-worth. Because if you can afford the things that really make you happy, you feel very sad. And if you can help the people mostly around you and make sure they're happy, it's even much sadder. So people are moving out to struggle in these different countries, do menial jobs. Now, I was listening to a story the other day about a guy who left Nigeria working as a manager in a bank and went to the United States, and he's been a doorman for a couple years, and he moved his whole family there. And they asked him, would you want to come back to Nigeria, to be a manager? He was living a fairly comfortable life, right? He said no, he's much happier in the US doing that job. Self-worth is a big thing for many Nigerians, and they get it abroad. They don't feel that here. Again, stacking up with everything else that we've talked about, they just feel it's easier. And the final one is ease of living in the government. We talked about self-worth and the infrastructure and everything. People just feel like it's easier to live abroad. Things are easily accessible. They don't have to go through all these hoops to get things done. They don't have to struggle to go to work and back. Lagos is a prime example. The traffic in Lagos is unbelievable. Again, many other countries, cities have traffic. Toronto has traffic, LA has traffic, New York has traffic. But Lagos is on a different league of its own. If you've ever been in Lagos and you've been stuck in like a 6-hour traffic to go 7 kilometers, you know that it's in a different league of its own. It's insane the amount of traffic. Ease of living is just an example that many other places are easier to live and get around and, go through your day and not feel like the world is against you. And many people leave because of that. Right? Many people leave because when they try to purchase things, there are all these laws and tariffs of things you can and cannot do, things that are possible, even getting loans to go to school. It just sums up to be a lot of stuff that people are leaving for. And then the government, people blame the government a lot for corruption, stealing money. Again, there's many countries that the governments are very corrupt, but the government in many parts of Nigeria aren't doing the bare minimum to help the population survive. Electricity is one of them, good roads are one of them, schools, and those sort of infrastructures are things that the government should be held accountable for to get done. Get these done, get the people, some sort of comfort. That's why we elected you, that's why you're in the office. And many Nigerians don't feel like they're getting the bare minimum. And what I've heard is many people try to re-elect someone that would work for them, and the corrupt people just rig the system and get back in office. Many countries have this issue. It's not like it's only prone to Nigeria, but other countries are seeing that, there's like an opportunity to still exist and grow within those economies and not be held down and boggled down by all the issues with leadership and stuff like that. Will people continue to immigrate from Nigeria? I believe so, until things start drastically changing. The immigration from Nigeria has ramped up a huge ton. When I was growing up, when I was very, very young, rarely people immigrate, at least in my circle. Okay, in my circle, not many people left. Everyone I grew up with was here. Everyone I knew, even people who had way lots of money back then, they were here. They had these plans for their kids to inherit their business and grow and blah, blah, blah. But growing now, that's not the case. Everyone wants to up and leave. Even the people who are young, their parents are trying to get them out of the country to give them that better life, better future. And that's just sad, because you lose a lot of the good ones if you keep sending people abroad, and you lose a lot of the future of the country. So I think Nigeria is going to fall into that aging population issue if a lot of people start to leave, and a lot of qualified people who are staying out there and not coming back if that's the issue. Now I know there are many people who are abroad and coming back to try to change the country and do stuff that are beneficial, but then the amount of people who are leaving, those ones will be lost and they never come back, and they just give those to the other countries that they're going to. Canada is a big one. Many people have been immigrating to Canada lately. The US is a secondary big one. Many people have been immigrating to the US for as long as I can remember, and the numbers have just grown quite considerably. The UK, Nigerians, we kind of own part of the UK now. Countries, Paris, Germany, there's more Nigerians going to Germany, more Nigerians going to Australia. Australia is like so far away. But many Nigerians are going to Australia, and it's crazy to me. But, well, that's the reason why people are immigrating. If you enjoyed the video and if you enjoyed me ranting on, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.